All right, we are live. Thank you very much for joining us. For people who are watching, I am joined by Andrea. I am David. Andrea is the sole proprietor, the head honcho of Thrive Reiki in White Plains, and I am the head coach, sole proprietor of Strong by Lee in White Plains. And we are here in our bi-weekly transformation. Are we going to call it Transformation Tuesdays yet, or just Strength to Thrive?
Well, we can still call it Transformation Tuesday. We can do both.
Transformation Tuesday, Strength to Thrive. And in today's discussion, we are going to talk about sleep, rest, mindfulness. We're going to talk about how sleep and rest, and I would definitely be interested. I'm sure a lot of people will be interested in your definition, since you practice Reiki, your definition of rest, right? And how it pertains to fitness, health, well-being, both, all on emotional, spiritual, and a mental level, so that we can help live our best, so we can live our best lives.
And don't forget the physical level, David.
And the physical, right? The physical, right? Of course. I figured that that's kind of a given, right? People are like, oh man, if I don't get enough sleep, I'm going to feel like crap tomorrow. But crap is an understatement from a physical standpoint, right? Because a lot of us don't understand how it affects us mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, right?
Absolutely.
It's this weird thing. How much of our lives do we spend sleeping?
Well, not as much as we should, I would say.
Yeah, exactly. And for something so important, and obviously there's research showing that if we don't sleep properly, we become insomniacs or whatever, and we eventually suffer from sleep deprivation, and that could lead to that D word indirectly. I know that's kind of a queasy word for some people, so.
What D word are you referring to? There are lots of D words.
Death.
Oh, the big one.
The big one.
The big one.
The hard endpoint.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The hard endpoint that can shift depending on how we live our lives.
Wow. Yeah, no, I don't want to go that way.
No. Me neither. I don't feel that I'm in any position to say, hey, if you don't get enough sleep, this is going to happen to you. Now, I guess we want to focus on, if we don't get enough sleep, how does that affect us right now? How does that affect our mind, our spirit, our soul, and our ability to take care of our well-being? So we're going to talk about it from a fitness standpoint, what I think as a personal trainer and a dietitian, and you're going to speak about it as coming from the perspective of Reiki, mindfulness and awareness, meditation, right? So we don't have any questions, right? Because I don't really have nobody's really asked me specifically about sleep. The other day, I uploaded like a 20-minute video on sleep on YouTube where it's just a monologue. But how many people can do just a monologue of me talking into a camera?
Did you put them to sleep?
I want to, maybe. My clients do call me the Sandman. I don't know if you know that reference.
Do you want to give us a gist, what you were sharing in this video for 20 minutes? What was it about?
The gist of me was I think a lot of people understand the physical implications of sleep. Sleep is a process in which our body uses a specific time, namely when the sun is down, to recuperate, to wind down. There are processes that happen while we're sleeping that don't happen when we're awake. Autophagy is one of them. Autophagy is the ability for our body to recycle used or displaced like amino acids and things like that. There's also and sleep, I think, has been a center of a lot of scientific research. They're trying to figure out like what actually happens during sleep. You got different waves, you have different hormones, like melatonin is a hormone that goes up during sleep, and that is responsible for dreaming, is responsible for restfulness, is responsible for a lot of different things, right? But so from a physical standpoint, sleep is really helpful in helping us recuperate physically, emotionally, and mentally, right? It helps energize us, helps us recover for the next day. And what I really focus on is how to help people optimize their sleep by focusing on three things. We focus on quality of your sleep, because a lot of people think, oh, if I just get 7 to 9 hours of sleep, it's okay, right? Quality is the quality of your sleep. You can get 7 hours of sleep, but if you're waking up every single hour because you're anxious, you're thinking about what you have to do the next day or how crappy your day was before, then you're not getting high quality sleep. Even if you did go to bed at 11 and you woke up at 6. After quality, then there's quantity, right? Quantity.
That's number 2.
Yep. Number 2 is quantity, is how long are you sleeping for, right? The 7 to 9 hours. That's generally a good recommendation for a lot of people. And what's even funny is that even genetics plays a huge part on how restful we feel after 7 hours of sleep versus 9 hours of sleep. And then the last one is consistency. A lot of people don't sleep at the same times every day unless they have a job. I speak to my clients every single day about sleep. How do you sleep? How's your stress? And they're sleeping at all sorts of different times because they don't have to be up physically to go to work. They don't have to.
They have different schedules now because of what's going on.
Yes, and I can see how the lack of sleep consistency on a schedule manifests itself into more malaise, more fatigue, lower energy, lower motivation,
weight gain,
lower willpower. People don't feel as disciplined, right? And so those are like the physical implications, right? But then there's a whole other side to sleep that you're going to go into that many people might not recognize, right?
Or may even recognize, or may even be aware of it more and feel it more, as you so beautifully shared, the scientific and physiological aspects of it. I would just like to say that when we don't have enough sleep, we are not in our right mind. And it shows, and people know, and it shows in symptoms of frazzledness, and agitation, and what I call, when the nervous system is, freaked out, or it cannot really function properly, and this is and also I think it can also manifest in a way of anxiety, and this is when, and I always call when the nervous system is overstimulated, and then you always have very thin nerves because you don't have the resilience then. And it just makes it so much more, it makes everything so much more challenging and so much harder. But the problem is because, when a person is in that kind of loop and they're not in their right mind and they cannot think straight, the outlook, the attitude, the perspective, the mindset can become very negative. And that is a very, very different thing to look at. There's a difference when we're well rested, that we are more balanced, and this is all about balance, about resetting the nervous system, about resetting ourselves. How can we deal with our emotions? But the thing is, in the myth, I think what I experienced also in this culture, in the society, or just in the world that we live in general, it's just like that relaxation and rest are regarded as luxuries and not as necessities, and this is the first thing that people skimp on, right? When you cut down things, you're going to cut down on sleep. And I've done it before I knew better, because my body was taking the abuse, of sleeping only 3 to 4 hours a night so that I could power through. And I had my daily Starbucks fix when I was working in the city, from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. and doing all the crazy stuff. But I had to pay the price because it was this vicious cycle of constantly feeding myself, and with the caffeine that led to a lovely chronically inflamed esophagus. So it's a crazy ride once we get started in it. But the problem is we get so caught in the loop, and that we are so used to not sleeping, and there's so much anxiety involved with it, that we unlearned how to rest and to rewire ourselves again, to get back into that place. That is so hard, and that is so frustrating. And that is just a really tough place to be in.
Right. I totally agree. I know, and I think there are so many factors that go into how well we feel. I think, first of all, I don't really keep up with pop culture nowadays, but there are lots of business coaches, entrepreneur coaches, and success coaches who who encourage people to hustle and grind and think that overworking or working a lot or hustling or doing this or doing that, they think it's a badge of honor. And one of those things is to don't sleep until you're successful or whatever, right? You can sleep when you're dead, right? I've heard this so many times before. There's a
Yeah, me
really
too.
there's a really popular guru out there. He's got millions of followers. I'm not going to name any names. And he was one of the first people to really, can you see me still?
Yeah, I can still see you.
Okay, my screen just shut off. That's weird.
No,
Oh, here we go.
everything is still there. Everything is still good.
My screen's back. So he's got millions of followers, and
Mm.
especially for the millennials, he's a household name. He was one of the very first people to bring this the hustle mentality to the forefront, in which he took it as a badge of honor and boasted about how he would run his family business, and then at night, when the family business or whatever he's done with the family business, he would work on his own business until like 1, 2 in the morning, get 4 or 5 hours of sleep, and do it all over again. And he didn't sleep, he didn't go out, and he, of course, he bragged about that whenever he's on calls or coaching calls with other millennials or other people who want to create a business. He's always talking about how he's always talking about how he didn't sleep, how you have to sacrifice your life right now if you want to achieve the success or whatever, and you just have to hustle and you grind. And you see a pushback from other people saying, if you hustle and you grind and you lose and you don't sleep and you don't rest well and your body breaks down, how are you going to enjoy that success you're supposedly supposed to achieve, right?
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I have clients who take their sleep, they cherish their sleep. They really do. They go to sleep at the same time every single day, wake up at the same time every single day. Some of them don't even wake up with an alarm. They just wake up, boom, right on the dot, same time. The body's amazing like that. Wake up same time every day. And they look fantastic. They're usually the ones who have far better discipline, far better willpower, and as a result, they look better. They achieve their goals faster and with more ease, right?
That's the key word, with more ease, and I bet you that they're also way more pleasant to be around.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, of course, they complain just like anyone else, but I find that people who take rest more seriously tend to be the ones who take other things in their lives more seriously. If they do complain about something, it's more constructive. They're like, well, this sucks. This part about my life sucks. And maybe I'm not seeing the results that I want to hear. What can I do about it? So they're more proactive about finding solutions, right?
Yes. So speaking of finding solutions, David, so what do you tell your clients who don't have a, healthy or proper sleep hygiene? So what advice do you give them? What recommendations do you give them? Or are there some exercises even that help them unwind? Are there some nutritional supplements that you recommend that they take in order to support them?
Good question. Thank you for asking. The first thing I try to ascertain is how ready even though it sounds so logical and straightforward to take care of our sleep, right? There are a lot of people who don't want to. So one of the first things I try to say is, and you probably know this too, I mean, you're in an industry where a lot of people might not be ready to come see you. And trying to force somebody to do something is only going to lead to disappointment, right? It's going to lead to pushback. Like, well, I'm not comfortable doing that. Let me go at my own pace, right? I'm not comfortable. I'm not ready, right? And even when it comes to something as essential as sleep, a lot of people understand, like, okay, sleep's essential. I need sleep in order to survive. And a lot of people even understand I need sleep if I want to perform at my best, whether it's at my job, whether it's because I'm a parent, whether it's I want to be there for my friends, my family members, whatever, right? So I asked them, like, what are you doing right now? If you're complaining about sleep, if you want to improve your sleep, what are you doing right now to do that? And I tried to take stock and inventory of some of the things that they're currently doing. And I asked them, have you tried this? Yes. How did it work out for you? I'll try to get my answer from that. But once I establish somebody's readiness to change, then I'll say, okay, number one, what time can you go to sleep reasonably every single day? Give or take like 30 minutes to an hour every single day consistently. I'll try to get an idea of what their schedule looks like. And then I'll see where can a good sleep hygiene, good sleep routine fit within their current lifestyle before I try to shift and orient things too much. I'll try to see if I can fit my recommendations within their current lifestyle to make it as easy as possible. And then I'll say, well, what time can you reasonably wake up every morning with or without an alarm? And they'll give me a time. I said, okay, you can go to sleep at midnight and you can wake up at 6. So you got 6 hours of sleep. It's not technically the recommendation of 7 to 9 hours, but how much sleep are you getting right now? A lot of them will say, I'm getting like five hours of sleep. Okay, so 6 hours is better than 5 hours. It's like, yes, okay. Do you think that'll make a difference if you get an extra hour of sleep? A lot of them will say, well, yes. And it's like, well, how do you know it's going to make a difference? Like, because whenever I get more sleep, I feel better. It's like, all right, well, you get more sleep, you feel better. Are you comfortable doing this where you can try to get an extra hour of sleep, 12 to 6? Great. Yes. Okay, great. If they give me the yes, I'll say, great. Now that we have a schedule, now we can figure out, do you go to sleep easily? As soon as your head hits the pillow, are you going to sleep or do you toss and turn? Right? If they toss and turn, that might be a little bit more about, okay, well, is your mind racing at night? Are you thinking about things? Are you bothered by something? Right? That, and when they start saying stuff like that, then I'll try to get an idea of, okay, well, does this person have a history of anxiety or depression or stress related issues? If they do, that might be outside of my scope of practice. And that's when I would probably refer to someone like you, somebody who does focus more heavily on the emotional, spiritual, and mental side of things. Okay, because and
that's a
then
beautiful example for the mind-body connection again.
yes, absolutely. It's so hard. Even if you sleep, if you're anxious, even if you're so physically worn out that your body has no choice but to sleep, if your mind isn't resting, I don't think you're not going to benefit as much from it, right? Like physically you're rested, but your brain has to rest too.
Yeah, your mind, and as you said, your mind has to rest, and that's the hardest part, I think you can get away, and because the body is so resilient, and because our minds are also very resilient, but I think if we do this kind of depreciation over time, and I think it's a sneaky process, but it really builds up over time, the negative effects of it. And it really just amazes me, because when people come to my table, most of them are very sleep deprived, obviously. And I can tell, because, these are the people who fall asleep right away, and because it is so relaxing, and they reach, through the session, they reach this deeper state of relaxation that they're not used to, and they're out. And they're very surprised by it. They're very surprised that they can relax, that their minds can shut down, and that they are really able to unwind, because people are so wired. It's very difficult for them to unwind. And this is, I don't know if I shared a story with you. I had a private client at a house visit for him, a very, very successful man, has everything, tried everything, but his mind was driving him so crazy that he was willing to try shock therapy. He had seen all different kinds of coaches, all different kind of trainers, therapists, everything, but his mind was going absolutely crazy, so that he was so desperate to try that step. And then one of his physical trainers actually was recommending me to go there as a last resort, so to speak, and I explained him what I did, and he was very skeptical. But, I put my hands on his head, and I did my process. And, after 15 minutes, he fell asleep, and he stayed asleep for the whole session. And he could not believe it. And that was just the thing, just that. And he said, you were able to shut my mind off. And I said, no, I wasn't, but he was just ready, and I was just creating the right environment, and I put my hands apparently in the right places, because, Reiki, there's a reason why we place the Reiki pen positions on the positions that we place them, because, so that the body responds to them. And it was just this beautiful testimony that this really helped, that this person who was so desperate, who was going out of his mind, who was willing to try shock therapy, could be helped in such a simple way without any side effects.
That's what goes over a lot of people's heads, right?
Yeah.
It's the simple, basic, foundational stuff. I know you asked me a couple of questions and I didn't address all of them, but I want to keep
Yeah.
it on. I want to keep it on to you, because I can probably go on and on. I want to bring it back to you, and I want to continue your thought. And I want to,
Okay.
what do you do that helps relax people, that helps put them to sleep?
It's basically what Reiki does is it helps people to tap into the relaxation response. We all know the fight or flight response that we're constantly under, but there's something about coming into this environment, and apparently I have a very calming demeanor because everybody says I'm so calm.
Trust, right? You're a person, someone talks to you and they think, wow, like, and Andrea is so sensitive and so emotional, like I feel like I can trust her.
Yes, and I think that's it, and they're just like, and I think just come, and then they lie on the table, and I guide them with some guided meditation, sometimes some breathing exercise, the deep breathing, and it's like they can let their guards down. This is the only way I can describe it. They feel safe. It's an element of trust. They feel safe, and then I place my hands on their heads, and then usually 5 to 10 minutes in, people are falling asleep. Because that's what happens is by placing their hands on those particular parts of the body, the body is reminded to shut down, to relax, to unwind, so that the relaxation response can kick in. And this is what happens. It's a biological response. It's no magic. It's no woo-woo.
On that note, I want to ask you a question, and maybe this might seem obvious to you, but it doesn't seem obvious. I mean, it kind of seems obvious to me as well, because I think we're service providers.
Yes.
And people come to us. They continue to come to us because they like us. They trust us, right?
Yes.
From a Reiki standpoint, do you think your personality, your abilities as someone who practices Reiki, and your ability to garner trust in people can actually improve your ability to do Reiki? Like, do you think everyone possesses the same ability you do to tap into the relaxation response of the body to calm them down? Or do you think you get results for your clients because of who you are, in addition to what you know about Reiki and how you do your stuff?
I first want to say that we all have the ability to tap into a relaxation response, and we all have the ability to practice Reiki. It's not a special gift that is given to us. It's something that we can learn. These are just techniques. But tapping into relaxation and tapping into mindfulness is something that we can all do. It's not something that just a chosen few can do. But having said that, of course, the demeanor of the practitioner makes a huge difference. If you are calm and relaxed and comfortable and at ease and at peace, that automatically translates and transmits. If I were a nervous Nelly or an anxious wreck, every time, I get a client, I would be like super hyper, then, it would be a very different experience for people. And the secret is, in addition to my training and to all the personal work that I do, the professional development, the personal development work that I do, is I practice Reiki every day on myself.
Yep.
And that makes the huge difference. It's not something, and this is what a lot of people are mistaken. They think they can turn the practice on like a light switch, on and off as needed. But, it's a lifestyle, it's a practice, and I can only do and tap into this flow of energy because it is always accessible to me, because I keep it flowing, because I keep practicing every day.
Right.
And that's the secret,
And based on what you're saying and how it runs very congruent to my experience, I feel I do a decent job as a personal trainer with my clients because of who I am.
Yeah.
Right? My clients come to me, my clients trust me because of who I am. And I feel that because of who you are, because of who I am, and because it brings down the guards of our clients, they're more receptive and more sensitive to the lessons that we're trying to teach them.
Yes.
whether it's we're trying to get them to understand how to do a particular exercise because they trust us, because they like us and they're comfortable around us, they're more willing to listen. The same way with Reiki, because somebody trusts you, somebody's coming to you for help, and they see that you are a person who won't judge, who won't criticize, and most importantly, somebody who knows their stuff, they're going to be more receptive. They're going to put their guards down. They're going to be more receptive to your lessons. And I think that could probably exponentiate their results and make Reiki a lot more effective for them, because
Yeah.
it's just like how we decide to close ourselves off to the outside world, like personally, like without even seeing, so without even seeing you or without seeing me, there are plenty of people out there who are just, I don't know, uncomfortable with themselves. They're their own worst harsh critics, so they're so shut down that they won't really consider any outside perspective. When it comes to rest, if somebody tells them, hey, you need to rest, be like, yeah, I know I need to rest, but they don't actually do it.
Yeah, or just for example, if people come to me to rest, right, for a restful session, but I'm like on the jitters because I had too much coffee, that just doesn't do much. So I have to be well rested too. And this is again, and this is what I really, really learned and understood when I started to practice Reiki on myself, is just really, relaxation is a must. It's not something when I get to it. It's not something, it's a daily must. And then you have to find your dose, your dose of rest, your dose of relaxation, in addition, to sleep. When you're somebody like me, I'm a highly sensitive person, I'm sure you've heard this term that was coined by Elaine Aron. she's a therapist who coined the term a highly sensitive person, HSP. And I think about 25% of the population are highly sensitive. And it just means that our nervous system is just functioning a little bit differently. It's more sensitive, it's more susceptible to the fine nuances of life. So that's when people are more receptive to, or more sensitive to noise and to physical sensations and to light, because our receptors are having different filters. And so knowing this about me, I know that I need to have my certain dose of calm and my certain dose of rest and mindfulness and meditation, so that I am in a good balanced state to go through the day. And when things are rough, I know that I need to increase the dosage once I found out how much it is that I need every day. And I think this is what we all need, like the same thing for your clients with the exercise. How much exercise do they need a day? What kind of exercise? How much food do they need to eat every day? The supplements, the vitamins, how much? This is exactly the same. We need to find our dosage of rest, and we need to find what calms us down. It doesn't always have to be mindfulness and meditation. It can be reading, it can be walking, it can be cooking, it can be gardening, it can be, drawing. It can be more physical activities. Even for some people, the way they can relax and they can calm down is exercise. Especially, running on the treadmill and things like this, because it gives them monotony. And this is just something that people need to figure out and just find their own dosage. And this is something that I have observed that is fallen, that is not really paid a lot of attention to.
I think you make a really good point that there's so many people are so different, which, because people are so different, it really brings home the importance of getting personalized attention and guidance.
Yes.
Right? Because not every two people are the same. For example, I know, like you just mentioned, for some people, exercising, running on the treadmill can help relax them. Because if somebody is really anxious, burning off the energy can help bring them down. Whereas somebody else, running on a treadmill can keep them jacked and wired up, and they won't be able to sleep. Yeah. And I think the real value in, and I'm just going to plug us one more time before I start talking about some of the practices I do with my clients, and then some of the practices that you do with your clients. And I think the real value in working with an expert like you and me is that we shorten the learning curve. We take the guesswork out of what somebody might need to do. Oh, did we freeze?
You froze for a moment, yes.
Oh, okay. So I was saying the value I think in working with somebody who can personalize your situation is that because they have the experience, they can shorten the learning curve so that somebody doesn't really need to spend the time experimenting with what might work for them.
Yeah, so doing the research.
Yeah.
That's the thing too.
Uh-oh.
And it's very, yeah, and just beauty of.
We were doing so well too. We were doing so well, and then all of a sudden Zoom started to crap out on us. I completely missed what you said. I think the recording is going to catch it. So, based off, so what I usually do is after I establish a schedule with somebody, I'll go through some of the more, I guess, fitness related hygienic stuff, such as, a lot of people, they go to sleep with the TV on. I usually think that's a big no-no.
I agree, but some people can only sleep with the TV on because it's just like as soon as you turn the TV off, they wake up.
Yep.
My sister-in-law is like this.
Yeah. So even though it makes so much sense to turn the TV off to sleep, like you said, a lot of people can't go to sleep without the TV. So there might need to be a weaning period, right? So some of the other things I look at, okay, are you, man, what the heck, it's freezing again.